Alrighty, so we're back here on some more Warframe, doing a little bit different of a video this time. We're not really going to be showing builds. This is not really meant to be a build showcase, although I guess I will kind of be showing builds. This is more so meant to be a thoughts and discussion, because really, I was never too interested in, but I decided to start messing with her recently, and she's actually really surprised me. I've been having a lot of fun with her, so I wanted to talk about it. I was never really too interested in Yareli because just her abilities at a glance did not seem that appealing. You know, throw water bubbles that do stuff, doesn't look anything too insane. Marolina's a K-Drive you gotta ride. K-Drive driving is not that most fun to me. You got Aqua Blades, which are just kind of generic and bland. This is definitely the subsume slot. And then Riptide, it groups up enemies, you know, big water explosion, yeah. But I did not know the full details of her kit. I didn't even know about her passive, which is actually really good. And then also her skins were kind of whatever to me. Prime, well, I mean, it's alright. Normal, again, it's alright, but I was never too insane on it. The Pandia skin, though, I actually quite like. And then I combine that with the Prime helmet, which I think helps out a lot. Her normal Pandia helmet is not my style, at least. And then normal helmet, kind of does not really fit on it too well. This helmet, kind of whatever. This one's alright, actually. And the Prime one, I quite like it. It reminds me of an axolotl, which is kind of cute. And then her skin gives Wisp some competition, I should say. But besides that, I decided to start investing into her, and she's really been a lot of fun. It's not this build, that was something I was messing around with. She's been a lot more fun than I thought. Her passive grants an additional 200% crit chance for secondary weapons when she has been moving for at least 1.5 seconds, which is basically a restriction that you do not feel at all. You're constantly moving around all the time. 1.5 seconds for just moving, that's nothing. That's easy. And then sea snares, I mean, I don't cast it the most. I think my friend cast her sneeze snares a lot more, but they definitely still are good. Which, by the way, I decided to start messing with Yareli because my friend actually has Yareli as her most fun frame. She's a Korra main at heart and always will be, but Yareli, she says, is actually the most fun for her, so I decided to try out Yareli. And also there's this augment Loyal Marolina, which helps out a ton for Marolina. It gets rid of the K-Drive riding capability, which is again the thing that I did not like. It's slower, it's awkward, but at the same time you need to kind of use it because 90% damage reduction, as you can see, is a lot. And I don't know the exact term for it, but it's like universal damage reduction, as in it's damage reduction against everything, not just direct damage. It also reduces damage from status effects. The reason why this is important is because Mesa's Shatter Shield ability is 90% damage reduction only against direct damage. It does not reduce the damage from status effects. So status effects are a weakness for Mesa, but for Yareli and Mirage with Eclipse, this is not a weakness at all. And then Loyal Marolina makes it so that you don't have to ride her, so you cast Marolina, get the 90% damage reduction, you're still moving around as you normally would. And then also Marolina casts sea snares, which again increase the damage vulnerability to enemies and also suspends them. I probably should be casting this a little bit more. I get so distracted in the rest of her gameplay. But then the third, which again that's supposed to be Aqua Blades, this ability is really whatever. Maybe if it did more damage, maybe if increasing the range made them go further, it would be worth something. But this on its own is definitely not much of anything. Maybe with the augment it's decent, but on its own, nah. So just subsume over that. I went with Roar, probably a very generic answer, but I'm really focusing on buffing my secondaries, especially with that passive, so Roar just makes sense. And then fourth, Riptide, it's actually more enjoyable than I thought. Got some decent range to it. It groups enemies. I wish that it did more damage on recast because you can explode it, and I think that's the more fun part of it, but it still does at least help with, you know, grouping enemies, shoot them all at the same time. It's definitely not bad by any means. It definitely is good. It does cost quite a bit of energy though. You can see right there, 100 drain, and that's with 100 efficiency. Your early stats are actually really good. You can see health 370, I mean that's pretty normal, but shield with prime redirection we get up to 1820. That's very nice, especially with her 90% damage reduction. Armor, that's on the lower side, But energy, 898 with prime flow. That's very nice. I think it's 315 at base. Yeah, 315. So that's really good. Pretty much have had no issues with energy. Even when I was sometimes messing around with, where is it? It's all the way back here. Hold on. Blind Rage instead of Transient Fortitude. I've made the 45% efficiency work because yeah, it's 155 drain for Riptide and 116 for Roar. It's pretty low on Marolina and Sea Snares though, but with just so much energy, it's really not an issue. However, I just stick to Transient Fortitude because really she's not hungry for most of her ability stats. Duration, I mean, again, just focusing on the base. Sea Snares, you don't really need a ton of duration with them because hey, if you kill the enemy, the duration does not matter anyway. Marolina, duration does not matter at all. Well, hold on. Let me back up before I say duration does not matter at all. Let me actually confirm that. My dog is barking. I am sorry. So 73% duration. If I add prime continuity, that changes nothing. All right. And then Aqua Blades, if you are to use it, even with just prime continuity, it already has 69.75 seconds. That's really good. And then Riptide, most of the time you cast it, wait a few seconds, then recast it. So duration is not that important on it. Range, well, yeah, only kind of needs some range because Sea Snares, they have a range of 43.5 meters. That's with only 45% range, or I should say 45% additional range. So the range on our Sea Snares is already pretty decent. Marolina does not need range. Riptide, I mean 21.75 meters radius with just 45% additional range. That's not bad. And then Aqua Blades, they don't have range at all. So really, she's mostly just strength, but you don't need a ton of strength either because her Riptides are not going to get insane with a bunch of strength. Roar, you do definitely want at least some strength with. Marolina, that just affects health, which she can get more health with her time invulnerable by absorbing damage during that window to get more health. And then Sea Snares, you don't need a ton more damage vulnerability, and their own damage is pretty minor. And then the passive, you can't increase that. So really just mess around with this build, actually using Arcane Precision. You can definitely take off Aegis. I just prefer to have it. It's part of my survivability, but this has been feeling pretty nice. And then I guess I'll go ahead and show. This is my typical companion, Poggy. He is the best doggy. You got Reinforced Bond. If the companion exceeds 1200 max shields or overshields, and your fire rate is increased by 60%. And then reloading restores 150 overshields to your companion. That's 60% fire rate. Pretty nice. And Poggy's able to get 1295 shields, so not bad at all. And then also he is kind of a primer because you got Synergized Prospectus, which when combined with Manifold Bond makes him apply all of these status effects plus electricity onto an enemy, so that really helps to proc up galvanized aptitude, or shot in this case. But always start the mission pretty easy. Just go ahead, cast Marolina, and then whenever you get more energy, you can proc Roar. You get 38 seconds for that. That's not bad. I gotta change this around. Where is the Corrupted Heavy Gunner? There they are. And then normally I just kind of move around, just taking out enemies as normal. I don't even bother with like most of my other abilities, though I do sometimes cast Sea Snares. I've been working on casting it more. I might want a casting speed shard. At the same time, I do typically run Moderate Focus School, which gives increased cast speed, so you can really make enemies just immobile quite easily. I need to think a little bit more on whether I want a casting speed shard or not, because on the other hand, I do think her animations for casting abilities are kind of cute. It's conflicting, isn't it? On one hand, you want the style. On the other hand, you want the efficiency. What to do? But then Riptide, I'll cast it sometimes. Not a whole lot really. It groups up enemies pretty well. And then recast, again, does not exactly do a ton of damage. I wish that there was a way to make it absolutely nuke enemies, but that's just not the case. So most of the time, just group them up, shoot them a few times, and that really takes, I'm running out of breath, holy crap. That really takes good care of them. And this is with pretty low range, only stretch, and it's able to quite easily just absorb this whole group. Of course, they're laid out pretty nice, but it's been pretty nice. I don't really think I need much more range for her. You can go overextended if you want to, but just have not really felt the need to do so because, again, I can cast from here. That gets most of them involved. Like 20 meters, that is more range than you think. That's about this range, and that's radius. So it goes from here to here. and then from there to, another 20 meters out. And of course, while moving, you get the critical flow, which can be seen right here. That's the symbol for it. Just gotta move around for 1.5 seconds. You get some nice crit chance to whatever weapons. Makes it pretty easy to get red crits on some weapons. Now the rest of my build has mainly consisted of Offentis Prime because it's a secondary weapon buffer. The alternate fire creates a big bubble. You get increased reload speed, fire rate, and ammo maximum, plus minus 50% recoil. And this lasts for 40 seconds as long as you kill an enemy within that circle. So if I take off Poggy really quick, which by the way, you definitely could go with a different companion if you want to. You could go, say, Nautilus, and then you could go with a higher crit chance weapon, like Prime Laser Rifle, just get the crit chance over 50. I don't have it built up because I don't use it very often. But then you could go Reinforced Bond plus, what's it called? Is it Tenacious Bond? Yeah, Tenacious Bond, because this states that if the companion's crit chance is over 50%, then you gain plus 1.2x final crit damage multiplier. So it can definitely help you do more damage, plus you would get the, again, fire rate from Reinforced Bond. Pretty nice. It's just that you do need a higher crit chance weapon. Nautilus Prime, definitely good, but most of the time you run like Verglass Prime, which is very built up. And then if you're not running that, you're probably running something like Tazakor to just status proc all the other enemies. Maybe if you got a Beast Companion, it works better. I still need to get them. Also, again, Poggy, just best doggy. What else can I say? But we got Offentis Prime, which this is just a pure utility build. I'll probably slot in an Arcane later. Again, something for utility. But the nice thing about it is that it's zero Forma. There is not a single Forma on this. The normal build will probably be something more like this, and then maybe Serration in the last slot. I gotta think about it. But this is pretty nice because with this build, it's basically you just fire rate. Also, you got the Amalgam mod over here, which does grant sprint speed, kind of nice. And what I like about this build is that you're just able to fire out the throw pretty fast. Like, that's nice right there, because if you use it normally, the throw is pretty slow. Like, look at that. And you got a slower reload. This is how I'm able to spam this. That's not very good, especially if I want to quickly swap to my secondary or swap off of it to then throw, because you're doing a lot of swapping with this build quite a bit. But with this, helps just get the fire rate pretty nice, and reload also nice. You can just spam it, no problem. It feels nice. And it's got a pretty good travel time as well. Projectile speed, I should say. I've been saying I should say a lot. But anyway, there's this, pretty nice. And then there's something that I'm thinking about, which is actually with glaives. I'm thinking about what glaives to try. I only have one built up right now, which is Kestrel Prime, but there's two mods to help out with secondaries, Mark of the Beast and Combo Fury. Basically, you get kills with your melee and it buffs your secondary. For this one, if I get 6 melee kills within 6 seconds, I get 120% status and crit chance for secondary weapons for a whole 24 seconds. Pretty nice. This one, a little bit less crazy. On melee kill, you get reload speed and 100% mag capacity for 12 seconds. But this can be pretty nice. And also, since it's a glaive, if you have a secondary that's just a single weapon like Lotto Vandal right here, you can just simply have the glaive in your offhand and then just throw it around. You do need to kind of build it up a little bit, but of course you can group up all the enemies and that makes it a lot easier. I think Poggy got most of those kills. Or wait, no, I think I see it in the top right corner. It is, let's hear, there's Mark of the Beast, and then there's Combo Fury. But yeah, we can just activate Roar, we can, again, Marilina, and then just simply Riptide to then just throw a glaive. It eliminates all of them. I got spawn in enemies in this case, which makes it a little bit awkward. But then we get the increased crit chance and reload speed. Really helps out a lot. And stats chance. Can't forget about that. I've been thinking about maybe trying to build up Coda Pathocyst. Maybe Glaive Prime. I need to figure out what other glaives are pretty good. But I think Coda Pathocyst, I've heard, is pretty nice. I know Glaive Prime used to be very expensive for plat. It's crazy how much it was selling. But there's that. I normally just stay on Praetos. Don't really need the mega stats. These are the main secondary weapons I like to use just in general. Velox is just, again, mostly for Wisp with its augment for strength. But then you got Lex Prime, Lotto Vandal, Latum, Sicarus. Thing is, you want a weapon with pretty good crit chance, because Latum, you don't want crits at all for it. Furus, you want secondary innervate for it. Coda Catabalist and Kuva Nucor, you want secondary innervate for it. And then Acarius Prime, not exactly the most crazy crit chance. I don't even know if I run crit chance or crit damage on it. No, I don't. So it's like my main options are, I guess, Sicarus, Lotto, Lex, Dual Toxicist, Dual Coda Torxica, and Ballistica Prime, which this definitely does not need the crit chance. This weapon's just insane, actually. Like, just showing it really quickly, taking out Pocky for a second. This is just with this build right here. No Arcane, only 7 mods. It's insane what this thing is able to do. If I just go to the enemies, it charges up pretty fast, and then, yeah, just like pretty much one-shot all enemies with it. It's literally like Lex Incarnate times 20. And again, that's only 7 mods, no arcane. That's absurd. So I've been kind of struggling on what secondaries I want to use. Dual Toxicist is very nice, but man, its base form just sucks. It feels awful. Although it's really not that bad on Yareli, because you can cast Sea Snares. Targets stay immobilized like that. You get easy crits with them. Or sorry, you get easy headshots with them. But the thing is, not all enemies are easy to headshot, and sometimes you're playing in public matches. Enemies can be slain by other players. Sometimes enemies are not facing you, so you can't really headshot them too well. You gotta really make sure to like get right in front of them. So like maybe you'll be coming from behind, then you gotta get in front of them, then go for the headshot. You know, testing from Simulacrum to in mission is actually quite a bit different sometimes, because after all, Simulacrum is ideal scenarios. In missions, it's not always going to be an ideal scenario. A Tool Toxicist, it's so miserable trying to use this with no incarnate form. So I guess that really mostly leaves me with Sicarus, which to be fair this is probably my favorite secondary incarnate. It feels good without the incarnate mode. It feels good with the incarnate mode. It's all reliable, basically. And then Dual Coda Torxica is also pretty nice. Lex is pretty nice. You do got Ballistica Prime now, though. And Lotto Vandal, not bad. I'm just really trying to figure out what other secondaries I might like on Yareli, because her own secondary is not insane for her, funny enough. Crit chance, kind of low. Crit damage, especially low. Not too interested in running it on her. I know Tenant Secon's really good, but at the same time, this is also basically Kuva Nucor. Does have more crit chance, but that crit damage, ooh, that's not good. Maybe Tenant Detron is something worth using? I don't know. I don't think any of these Kuva secondaries are that crazy. I don't think Coda Tysis is insane. I do have Vosto Prime Incarnate, but it's incarnate form, not anything insane. Also, there's Gamma Core, which does have an incarnate. I don't know how that is, but this is pretty much what I'm like wanting to figure out more for Yareli, what secondaries to use, and also what other Archon shards to put on. Put on these 2 secondary crit chance mods with the heat status. Pretty nice, I like it. I'm just really curious what to do with the other 3, because again, I might put on a casting speed shard, I might not, I don't know. Maybe I'll go with a little bit more shields, why not? Maybe I'll go with, can I increase my health? I don't remember. Duration, I don't really need that. I don't exactly need a ton of strength either. I don't really need equilibrium shards, because if I went with equilibrium shards, what would I place instead of equilibrium? I don't really need much else. So that's what I'm mostly trying to figure out. Also, this bug is still in here. Dang it. Always gotta switch load out like this to someone else and then go back to Yareli, and then I can finally equip Companion. It's pretty awkward. Pretty weird. But anyway, that's been my thoughts on Yareli so far. She's really been fun. That 90% damage reduction, I mean, I'll just, I guess, quickly show it. I can unpause AI, go with Loyal Marulina, and then we're pretty good. I mean, Poggy's doing some work right now, for sure. He's definitely distracting them a fair bit, I should say. Yeah, Sea Snares are being cast by Marulina. I can cast some out myself. They're not even targeting me right now. I can cast my 4. Yep, it's just light work, pretty much. And then again, there I was talking about not ideal scenarios for getting headshots. Also, kind of skill issue. Wait, I only got 17? Darn it. But Yareli, been fun. I like her. She's a lot better than what I thought. And I mean, that damage is insane. That's not even fully procced on my Archon shards. You can go with the pure raw crit chance Archons. I keep wanting to call them Arcanes. I don't really do that because I rather have the build up, and plus the build up is not even that hard to reach. You just need to kill 50 enemies that are affected by a heat status. Oh, I do have this mod config as well. Yeah, it's somewhat similar to the first one. It just has airburst rounds instead of transient fortitude. And I mean, airburst rounds does reach a higher damage than roar, but at the same time maybe it doesn't because I don't know how roar calculates status effect damage compared to airburst rounds. You know, I don't know the full math, but airburst rounds definitely pretty nice for actually getting a lot more damage. You get 500% increased secondary damage, and it lasts for about 20 seconds. It's definitely by no means bad. I've not messed around with it too much though, but you could also proc it pretty easily. You got Riptide for bigger grouping, and then you can do the airburst round on top of them. Works out pretty well actually. I think I just prefer roar because you don't really have any prerequisite to getting roar to its full potential. With airburst rounds, you gotta hit at least a certain number of enemies. It's dependent on your strength, because let me just take a look really quickly, because currently with airburst rounds for my strength level I get 63% per hit. So I need to hit, what is that, 8 enemies to get the 500%? That's not too bad. But again, this is Simulacrum, so you're getting ideal scenario versus in-game mission, which is not usually going to be an ideal scenario, but it was just something kind of unique to try. And then just in terms of this one, what to subsume over Aqua Blades, I don't know. I was looking at the helmet options, nothing really stood out to me. I would love to be able to make it so that Riptide absolutely nukes enemies on its recast, but that's just not quite the case. Probably could run Breach Surge, but that just does not feel needed at all because my weapon can just take care of things. It's just quite tough. I wish that Helmuth had a lot more better options. A lot of Helmuth abilities feel underwhelming, but anyway, I think that's most of my discussion for now. Just wanted to talk about Yareli some, showcase her a little bit, I guess, where I'm at with her, my thoughts on her. She's a lot more fun than I thought. Also, I just need to show this comparison really quickly. Here's normal Aphentus. Look at that bubble radius. It's not terrible. You just stand in it. You just need to stand in it and get a kill. That's all that matters. Here is Aphentus Prime. If I throw it, that's a lot bigger. So definitely try to get Aphentus Prime instead of normal Aphentus if you're going to use either of them. And Aphentus Prime is actually pretty good with this loadout. Could again be even better if I format it and put on an arcane. But anyway, that's all I got to talk about for now. Just wanted to talk about some Yareli. She's quite fun. I've been enjoying her. And this is the look if you want to see. Here's my standard go-to look. This is my typical color scheme. Normally it's more like this. I just swap this black and white around because that is, I'm normally it's supposed to be white as the main color. If I have it like this, then black's the main color. So kind of just swap it around. And then there's this one I came up with earlier today. Quite nice. And then attachments, that's all for now. I do think actually the bunny one kind of fits her for some reason. I think it's because of those other flappies on her helmet. Leg attachments, I'm normally not much of a leg attachment fan. It's hard to find ones that I like because I want ones that are not too bulky, a little bit more slim. It's like Protovire is kind of nice, but I do wish it was a little bit more. Oh well, maybe there's something I'll find someday. I guess Lilac or Iliac actually kind of fits her. But anyway, that's all for now. I'm sure some of you will post a comment down below what you do with your Yareli. Definitely always feel free to do that. I got no problem with it. But anyway, I think that's all I got to say for now. So I'll see you all in whatever I do next. Sorry, I'm scooting my chair forward right now.